The summer offensive has begun. More than a year after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the war has reached a stalemate. The front lines have not seen any significant movements for months now. But now, things could change. Russia is moving tactical nuclear weapons to Belarus. Ukraine is attacking Russian territory, and Europe is supplying Ukraine with more and more advanced weapons. This war's far from over. Let's find out where we stand, and welcome to Dark New World. The quality of Ukraine's military force, once considered a substantial advantage over Russia, has been degraded by a year of casualties that have taken many of the most experienced fighters off the battlefield, leading some Ukrainian officials to question Kiev's readiness to mount a much-anticipated spring offensive. Over the past year, Ukraine has experienced some significant casualties. Around 120,000 soldiers have been killed or wounded since Russia entered the scene. Russia has reported roughly 200,000 casualties. Now, we have to consider that Russia has a bigger military and a much larger population, so those numbers do make some sense. What's interesting though, is that Ukraine is keeping their casualty figures on the wraps, even from their close allies in the West. To make matters more challenging, Ukraine has had to bring in new recruits to replace the experienced fighters they lost. The thing is, these recruits don't have the same level of expertise. It's kind of trading a seasoned pro for a rookie. Not the ideal situation for sure. And to add to their troubles, Ukraine's military is also facing shortages of ammunition. They're running low on essentials like artillery shells and mortar bombs. That's definitely not going to help them out in their current situation. On the international front, Moscow has now given the green light to move tactical nuclear weapons to Belarus. This is the Kremlin's first deployment of such bombs outside of Russia since the 1991 fall of the Soviet Union. The deployment plan has received strong criticism from the US State Department, but they made it clear that their stance on strategic nuclear weapons remains unchanged and they haven't observed any indications of Russia's intention to use nuclear weapons. Matthew Miller, a spokesperson for the State Department, described the plans as another examples of Russia's irresponsible behavior that we've witnessed since their full-scale invasion of Ukraine over a year ago. He reiterated the United States' warning that the use of chemical, biological or nuclear weapons in the conflict would result in serious consequences, although he didn't specify what those consequences would be. I want to emphasize that we have no reason to modify our strategic nuclear posture, nor have we seen any signs suggesting that Russia is preparing to use nuclear weapons, Miller stated during a press briefing. On the other hand, Putin has repeatedly emphasized that Russia, possessing the largest nuclear arsenal globally, will employ all means necessary to safeguard itself. He has framed the conflict in Ukraine as a battle for Russia's survival against an aggressive West. But the whole drama surrounding the nuclear weapons is actually a smokescreen. It is not really about the weapons themselves, but rather about Russia's control over Belarus. Russia is strategically positioning these weapons in Belarus to solidify its influence over its neighbor. Here's the deal. If the situation in Belarus starts getting too unstable for Russia's liking, they now have the ability to deploy troops into the country. And guess what their justification would be? Defending their precious nuclear arsenal. So it's like a 2-for-1 deal for Russia. They not only gain even more control over Belarus, but also have a convenient excuse to intervene if things don't go according to plan. It's a power move, plain and simple. In late May, armed groups from Ukraine pulled off a daring cross-border raid into Russia's Belgorod Oblast. These Ukrainian rebels, specifically two groups called the Freedom of Russia Legion, LSR, and the Russian Volunteer Corps, claimed responsibility for taking control of several border settlements and going head-to-head with the Russian government forces. Russian authorities are saying that these attacks were carried out by a Ukrainian sabotage group. In response, they implemented some serious counterterrorism measures in the region. This cross-border raid is actually the biggest attack of its kind since the initial start of the Russian invasion of Ukraine on February 24, 2022. But these are all localized events, and it's really hard to get the bigger picture when we are looking at these single incidents. Ukraine is running out of equipment, manpower and ammunition. That's why European nations are now considering sending F-16s to Ukraine. This was actually very predictable. I talked about the F-16 back in October. Now, the time has come. This summer could be the first time when we could actually see who is winning the war. Or the front lines won't move. But I doubt it. This conflict is far from over. And if the wrong decisions are being made, it could escalate into something bigger. Russia is still holding back manpower, equipment and ammunition. They have a plan. The million-dollar question is what this plan actually is. For what conflict are they preparing? And why is the rest of the world preparing too? Everyone is arming itself to the teeth. There is something big and bad coming. And if you want to know what that could be, then check out this video here. It is the first part of the World War III series, with a second part coming soon. And on the right, I talk about the scenarios how humanity could end, in this Doomsday Iceberg video. If you like this video, then please like and subscribe, or leave a comment. My name is Dennis, thank you for watching and goodbye.